Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the VCT Challengers for North America. We are just about ready to jump into our second map here between Envy and V1. Envy taking control of our first map on Haven. Definitely dominating fashion, nearly losing it at the end there, though, to a comeback as they were sitting on 12 rounds for quite some time, but did ultimately seal the deal. I believe it's 13-9 being the final score there. That was V1's map pick as well. And the Envy are probably going to be in a very, very comfortable position, getting ready to jump onto the second map here on Split.
Absolutely. I think Envy's definitely in pole position right now, but that doesn't mean that version 1 doesn't have an opportunity here. Throughout all of Haven, we saw them being extremely scrappy at multiple different engagements, but mostly centralized around C and A long, where they really like to take those early gunfights and see if they can, propel themselves into the later round a man up. But the problem is that Envy read into this, and it seemed as though version 1 really didn't have another play in the book to be able to assist them with what Envy was doing. A lot of adjustments from them and dominance over the entire map, even though the scoreline does read 13-9.
Our stat department, all Envy all day here when it comes to round wins, both through frags and objectives. Even the overall damage slightly favoring them, but you can tell in the overall frag department, the damage department, these teams actually relatively close to each other. Only a 200 damage difference between the two teams over the course of that matchup. Meanwhile, in the individual department, definitely showing up here is going to be Zelsis having a massive performance, especially from the defensive side inside of that last matchup. Penny, I'll be honest, a little bit quiet in that one. Might need to see him step up a little bit going into this next matchup here. However, on the Envy side of things, once again, domination from Victor as he's been doing so in the previous few series. Mame also having himself a very impressive clutch at one point during the Haven game too.
Yeah, it seemed as though the highlight players that we talked about previously on these two rosters were sort of silent, at least for this Haven, and I completely agree with you about the sentiment towards Penny. I really want to see this guy go off, but it just seems like Envy's really stepping in the way of what his playstyle is for these kind of maps. Although, moving into the next one, that could change some things up. I mean, we are headed to Split.
Indeed we are. And we can take a look at those map picks now for those of you who are curious how the first map has gone or what our third map potentially is going to be. Here it is for you once again. Our first map already played out 14-9 in favor of Envy on Haven. We're getting ready to move on to Split, which is Envy's own pick. Ascent is lined up for our third and final map if we do need to play it. Envy has the edge right now. That's going to be all up to V1 to change their fate on this second map and try to push themselves over onto Ascent. They want to have a chance to close down this series and, more importantly, keep themselves in the upper bracket so far for this tournament.
Yeah, Split, a pretty cool map that within recent history, we've seen some pretty cool changes on, whether it be through mid or as well as B main. But nevertheless, some cool stuff that they've updated on the map. But that was a little while ago now. We've got the lineups coming through for both of these squads. So let's get right into it, folks. We know you want the action, so we will delay no further.
Let's get into it here, see if we're going to see anything different. More than likely, the first thing that we'll end up getting here is probably going to be a Sky for the Envy roster if their previous picks are anything to play off of here. Just confirming that, so I'm not crazy. Yep, I am looking at the right team. So more than likely going to end up with that. With regards to which type of duelist we're going to say, Penny still going to be there on the Jet more than likely. The second one, however, a little bit more up in the air. So let's take a look at that as Zelsis looks like he's going to shift over towards a Raze this time, instead of playing onto the Reyna that he did in the last map.
Yeah, well, this is going to be the lineup that they have been running for most of this. This is also the lineup that they played up against Sentinels a while ago as well. So, see if this fares them any better than it did then. They'll have...
Oh no, I was just going to mention some more of the changes that we had working our way into this one. FNS obviously jumping onto the Cypher for this one, himself into the fold on that, and we do get that Sky specifically going on to Crashies there, so having that flash capability on top of already what is going to be quite an explosive, no pun intended, this is Raze, but like an explosive entry power coming out from Envy here between both him and Mame being able to use the dash and those blast packs to get themselves onto site in quick fashion, and then following that up, of course, with the guiding lights from Crashy, Paranoia assist coming in from Caboose as well. There's a lot to deal with here when it comes to the Envy roster on the offensive front. We're going to have to see just how well their opponents can manage it. V1 in the hot seat here as we work ourselves into map number 2. They're going to try their best to come back into this game now and solidify a second map to take us over to Ascent. Let's see if they can get it done. The pistol round getting started.
And we'll see if it's going to be a strong start for them. Looking over these lineups, as we were just talking about those, prior to the map getting started, I really like what MB has to offer with this Sky pick, as opposed to what version 1 is bringing. I feel like it's just going to help them more when it comes to actually getting the intel to work their way onto site. Skies offers so much of that, whether it be through guiding lights, seekers, or her trailblazer. This woman does it all. So be paying very close attention to how Envy utilize this agent. As of right now, though, for Envy, they're working their way up mid. It seems to be a split take as of now towards B.
FNS here, trying to work his way up among some of the other members of Envy as they're on the assault here. Effie seems to be very well aware of the explosive nature that's probably going to come out of Mail here in just a moment. So most of the team choosing to not take a direct contact upon that. And it's a pretty smart decision to do that as well here. V1 tuck their tail between their legs and back up, calling for the rotates from the other site. Mummy with a good find here, still hiding inside of his cloudbursts as well, causing problems against the defender still alive in the site. But Zelsis making that impact on the return as he's able to get 2 for himself here, bringing it down to 3 overall. Attackers still alive and in the site. Zelsis, player 1, and Penny on the retake here. Oh no! Penny, I think, actually getting the Colat headshot against Caboose after killing Victor, and then seeing the last member go down as well. That's the Penny we needed to see from the previous series. He'd gone all quiet on the first map, but he absolutely explodes at the beginning of map number 2.
His sister was playing, you know, he just had to go down the stairs or something real quick, and he just came back to the computer right now, so don't worry about it, guys. Version 1's here. They're actually playing the game now. Everything is A-okay. All jokes aside, though, what a round from Penny right there. I mean, Collat headshot with the Ghost. That's some insanity. But they need to translate that into some more round wins. Now, Envy not going to take a page out of version 1's book here. Instead, they're going to play the eco how you would regularly assume. They are going to have a couple of upgrades across the board with a Frenzy as well as a Sheriff, but obviously still going to be pretty difficult for them to pick up anything. Just mostly looking to harm version 1's economy in any way.
Immediate barrier orb wall going down in mid here, attempting to try and take it down before it got that extra bit of health, but failed to do so, so going to have to redo that. In the meantime, Vanity already going to be able to find 1 pickup in the V1 camp here. Takes a bit of heat in the process, but they've got the regrowth ready to go. So Vanity, as you can see on the right side, they're going to get healed up pretty quickly. Zelsis and him ready to come back out. Vanity getting himself a second on the round overall. And Penny tries to bring in shotgun death from above, but it doesn't pan out. He actually gets beaten by FNS before Zelsis comes in to really seal the deal.
Well, in comes the big boy round now. It's the buy round for Envy after an unsuccessful eco. Really not able to find too much, all except for 1 frag onto version 1. And now, version 1 going to be on that very awkward buy that we've been talking about throughout the day. We're going to have it split up on Sheriffs and Buckies, so look for Vanity and Penny to be playing these close angles. I'm assuming with this lineup, though, and what Penny has to offer, that it's not going to be simply playing angles, but more or less getting in the face of Envy some way, somehow.
He's already trying to press forward past the slow orb sitting on the ground right now here. Has the lineup to kill a couple players here, but the impact still being made by V1 as they get aggressive right up in the face of this Envy push. Guiding light out from Crash. He's going to be hard to guide it on the inside of those cloud bursts, though, so not really going to end up making a whole lot of impact, but we are going to see regrowth come out very quickly just to heal up some of the damage done to the players in the process of that very crazy early round exchange. Envy will ultimately have to back away from their position at A main as well and call this off for at least a little bit. Could reattempt the same take a couple seconds later once V1 are no longer expecting it. Might try to rotate over towards B. Still waiting for a decision to come in on that front from Envy.
Round 3 far from done here. Smokes down now inside of mid is Envy. Working their way towards B. They'll use the Trailblazer to clear out B main as their 2 sets continue to contest inside of mid, but they don't want to try and go for that too aggressively just yet. This seems to be a fake from Envy as they set up Sky across the map to try and pull these version 1 members away from A, but Penny's not having it. He's not taking it at all, and in fact, he's playing the close angle. The thing I didn't think was going to happen earlier is actually about to, but oh no, Penny, it's not good enough. The Bucky can't deal the damage and barely deals any damage anyway. Envy work their way onto the site, have a spike plant, and also have good post plant.
Get themselves a plant with just enough time, too. Only 10 seconds left on the clock. They're able to leverage themselves control of the overall site and secure the plant. For V1 here, as you can tell, still on an eco, not a whole lot of gunpowder left, but they are in the area, specifically by screens. A dark cover currently holding back the rest of their assault. They're trying to get one more player into position. As you can see, they've already retaken Heaven control for themselves here. Crashes at the same time, trying to swing out there, and very well timed, is able to take Vanity out pretty much for free. They continue to go back and forth. Effie's left as the only player still standing for V1 eventually, and Caboose will also handle that for their dark cover. Finally got Envy on the board here. They're going to be able to take their first round.
Okay, well, so far, this is looking like a much more impactful version of version 1. They're doing a really, really good job. Even inside of that eco, they played it perfectly. It just obviously didn't fall into their lap. Penny, if he especially got a frag right there, that would have been such a highlight for them, able to get one off on the entry. And that more than likely goes their way if it did end up happening. But not the chance, or not actually what ended up going on. Instead, Envy with the rounds here, and still going to be able to translate some things into the next one. Mame going to be on knives for this round as well, so could see a possible buy-up in the future. A good upgrade for him, the amount of economy he'll get from that ult.
And he's going to get pushed out pretty quickly because of the boombot here, and Envy are really going to put the pressure on. FNS also has top ramp control in the A site itself, so that's going to be a brutal combination, immediately forcing out the defenders here from V1. They'll still maintain screens control for themselves. Oh, shrouded step. Mame going to walk right up and challenge that, taking down Vanity. Spots the second player on the inside of screens as well. That's going to send Envy reeling back, though, when they realize just how much presence is already rotated over from the B site, making them believe that B is the smarter choice. So far, it's the right decision. Effie's looking to quickly reinsert himself up the heaven stairs here. Does have the dark cover blocking his pass, so will more than likely wait that out before trying to make a play. Because on the other side, it's Mame. He's got the knives out, but not going to make a difference. Effie still finds the impact. Instead, that's Heaven recontrolled by the defenders, and they can use that as a staging ground to get back out.
And they need it so desperately right now. Envy with full site control, but as you said, tower in favor of version 1 for the time being. Caboose will be playing hell. Nice dark cover to limit line of sight here for them. Aggressive play from version 1, but what else would you expect? Envy come out on top of the pile, but finally Zelsis fires back. He knows the positioning of Caboose as well, as he takes him down as Victor into the 1 versus 2. He can't win his one either, and version 1 with 3 rounds right now up against Envy, shutting down the take.
Version 1 keeping their rotate capability on a swivel right there to very quickly move back over towards the B site. Before the spike had even gone down, there was at least 1 player already up the heaven stairs, 2 really potentially at that point. And right here with Effie's frag is where the retake begins. They use it, as I said, as a staging ground to flood into the site, combined, of course, with the defender spawn route through the tunnel there, working their way back in, and ultimately Kenny finally being able to reinsert to get that final kill that you see right there on the replay. V1, a very big win for them, as it's just going to force Envy onto another eco, and more than likely, assuming nothing crazy happens, V1 should be in a good position to try to get themselves a 4th round here.
Well, speaking of crazy things, yes, it is an economy, but Victor also has a Guardian, which could be a touch scary. I mean, whenever you see a Guardian on the field, I feel like you immediately get flashbacks of what Steel does with this weapon. So at any moment in time, Victor's going to shoot somebody through a wall, or he'll get shot in the head. That one works too, but it's an aggressive play up mail. V1 good for all of it. Penny also fighting fire with fire, finds a frag of his own. Vanity finally taken down, but it's been the V1 show throughout all of this, as you'd expect. Finally down to FNS as the only member for Envy, but that's done and dusted as well. 4 rounds now for version 1.
Rarma expected to win right there, so they'll be able to get that one without too much of an issue. We'd already talked about how that was going to more than likely fall into the hands of V1, so not too surprising right there. It's this next round that's the big focus, the big reinvestment as well from Envy, including Mame purchasing up into the op, so a lot more aggressive presence going to be capable for them, especially in mid from the looks of things here, where they're currently looking to position that op. May not stay the case, though. Well, he does have to put the spike down. He has control over that, too, if he wants to really go for the swing in mid. And in the meantime, the other Envy players are going to bring out the Trailblazer to get some good info on the lurk up to A. Problem is, though, their op has failed. Vanity from V1 gets the better of that op v op duel and can now rotate to cover the top ramp angle as well. He doesn't know if the player's already swung, though. He's gonna have to try and make up for that. Can't get it done, though. Victor already taking down Vanity. Player 1 with the trade, but he's the only one left in this site now from screens, and he's gonna try to go deep in sight. Here's the problem, too. Player 1 with an opportunity to catch Caboose, but he just barely misses him. That sends Player 1 reeling back to screens. Even there won't really be safe, though. Victor already has control of Heaven, and he's aggressive with it, trying to swing out towards defender spawn. Penny Trying to get himself back to the inside here. Player one finally able to work something in this fight. It's been such an awkward round for him. Rez also coming in from FB's. FNS spraying into that one. Immediately denies it, however. So, no Rez really being brought back into this one. Just info on FNS's current position.
Player one finally getting taken down as Envy grasped hold of this situation. It's all down to Penny now, and he can't get it done either. Caboose wraps it up with a bow as they finally find a round. After having to fight through all of those ecos, just not working out for them. But version one, finally onto the back foot. Didn't seem like it was going to go that way early on with, well, the shots that we saw from Vanity. Able to take down Mame, where Mame made that huge investment onto the op and ended up losing it in the process. But Envy still able to claim a round nevertheless on the A site, get that spike control, or get that spike down and get control of the site. That was the biggest deal right there for them. The only real person they had to worry about was player one inside of screens. And granted, he did run amok, but it just was not enough for version one to claim the round back.
Big jump from Penny at the beginning of the round here. He's going to try and go to see if there's any pressure towards A, and he sees that there is nothing there. So Vanity is very well prepared for this to execute. A double frag from him, both Mummy and Victor going down. He's going to shrouded step his way to the other side of this so he can retreat towards hell or heaven and keep himself safe. Envy, in the meantime, doesn't even know what to do with themselves here. They're going to take a moment to pop the regrowth on Crafty's there and get their teammates back to full HP. Look like they want to re-engage, but the dark cover already re-blocking off the angle. They're going to try and use the cyber cage to get out. Guiding light as well, pushing them in. FNS leading the charge, but nobody can get anything done. Penny shutting two of them down with the Blade Storm at the end. It's a flawless hold from V1.
It really feels like version one's just starting to feel themselves. A lot of these plays coming through with flying colors. Amazing, amazing stuff there from Vanity to shut down not only Mame, but also the aggressive C4 packs coming out from Victor. And that right there is exactly what won them that round. I mean, even if the trade does come through, it's still going to be a pretty difficult one for Envy to actually flood out of the garage with the intel coming in from version one. But, I mean, that was just a full stop from V1 to shut that one down inside of that area. So now V1 pushing Envy back once again onto Eco. FNS will have a sheriff, but that's really it when it comes to the upgrades. A couple of frenzies along for the ride as well.
Player one already able to sneak a kill off against what's going to be, once again, a very weak round from Envy here, economically speaking. Just pistols, and some players not even upgrading from their classic, as we'll see with Mame's case, able to at least guarantee one trade. Neural Theft going to be used there as well by the defense, giving them a little bit more intel about where exactly the setup from Envy is headed, and we'll know now it's relatively focused on mid. They can begin crunching it. Penny with one pickup, Penny with two. Zelst is finally getting a piece of the action here as he's been hunting for one of these frags, but we'll finally solidify the last one there.
Solid stuff from version one. Just played their angles extremely well, and that's really all you need to do necessarily when a pusher's coming through like that on an eco. So very well done from them. But right now, it just seems to be that Penny and Zelsis are finding this groove together. We continue to see this, their plays go back and forth, really supporting these different angles and things along those lines. And it's just looking so strong overall. I want to see if Penny specifically can continue this throughout this series, or at least this matchup in particular. I mean, not really finding anything in that earlier map, but now on Split, he just seems to be an entirely different beast.
Caboose trying to bait with a shrouded step early on here. Not really going to work, though, and nearly gets found out by the op presence on the defense. Able to avoid death, thankfully. Regroup with the rest of the team on the inside of mid here. Guiding light out, but it's really just a bait to keep the Heaven players contained on the inside and not try to peek out towards mid to see this play as they work their way all the way into ropes already. It seems V1 almost immediately resigned to play for a retake here, but they've got a player in deep sight. There's Cypher fully committed to that. Player one, in fact, he's going to be able to pick up one kill before going down to Caboose. CF, he's rotating himself into screens, but because of the dark cover, not much room for impact. They'll have to play it on the retake instead.
It's going to be a difficult one indeed, as Envy still have control of ramp, but that might be going by the wayside soon enough. Two big frags coming through for V1, but FNS reclaims space, and that's going to be a big deal. They need to be able to hold on to Heaven as long as possible, but that's shut down as well. Version 1 looking so good on the retake. Penny not able to get the frag, but Vanity gets it for his troubles, and that's going to be Envy cleaned up. And Penny with the vertical play. I mean, this guy is everywhere when it comes to Envy's screens. I feel like I see see him up, down, left, right, center. I mean, every single time entering from a different portion.
Bit of a mad scramble there for Mame at the end, trying to get out of that situation as he got jumped on by Penny, as Stokes just mentioning there. So Penny, in fact, going to be able to invest pretty heavily into this round as he'll pick up the op to utilize this time. Envy, not so much the case, as once again, they're stuck onto what is relatively, for the most part, going to be an eco here. A couple of gun upgrades, specifically just going to see the Spectre go on to FNS and 2 Sheriffs. But aside from that, it is a complete save going into this round, and I believe a pause call also being made more than likely by Envy at this point in the game, as they're falling very far behind. They're falling behind very, very quickly here, so they need to try and control the pacing. Otherwise, we are on a very fast trajectory towards that map 3 on Ascent.
Yeah, a lot of issues right now for Envy, and an even bigger one being that this is actually their map pick, Haven being version 1, so this should be the map where we see Envy be at least contesting the score, and right now that is not the case. A 5-round lead for version 1 is finally the timeout is done. You guys can come back from making the popcorn. Everything is now ready and set. As Envy once again on a half buy. Spectres for FNS and Caboose, but nothing real else for the other group of people. Crashies is going to have a Sheriff to be able to assist, but as of right now, it's looking to be the rush up into heaven for Envy.
Player 1 trying to see if he can meet his luck once again here and find some picks from the inside of screens. Far too much pressure working its way onto him, and even worse, Mame going to press to the inside here. The Bladestorm, there's a lot of presence sitting on the inside of screens now, way more than it was before, so it's a good choice to back out. The problem is, he'll still be caught by Vanity, holding the heaven position here. That Cypher Cage is not working out to properly mask the angle. Gives away at least something to Vanity, who's going to be able to get himself a second now as well. FNS trying to swing in, but it's just an absolute execution from V1. That's until Caboose gets in the fight. Finally shut down off of a very nice op shot from Penny, but he's looking dangerous for a second there until Caboose had finally been contained at the back of the trade.
Yeah, some scary stuff right there, but version 1 are good for it, and honestly, it's to be expected at this point. It feels like Split for their playstyle is just really, really strong with how they're able to translate out of like heaven and areas like that. They really, really like these areas where they're able to have multiple of their players on different elevations, and that makes gunfights very difficult when it comes down to it. When you peek an angle and there's 2 people sitting at completely 2 different elevations, you're gonna have a problem. We've already seen that happen throughout the day already, especially with how Penny had been playing on Haven. So we'll see if that continues to hinder any successes here, but especially in that round, it was just such an aggressive retake from version 1, and Envy just could not find a single frag when it was necessary.
V1 in control of this matchup, but will it stay that way as Crashes gets himself a good first pick? We've got Slow and Barrier Orbs going down, but the Seekers, Effies, never mind, going to tear all those Seekers apart there, preventing any of the intel from working its way past Mail. Obviously, they know that they've got 3 players in that direction now, but where specifically they are, that much is still a mystery. Envy, though, do realize the severity of the hold on the inside of B, and off of the limited info from the Seekers, are going to back up, work their way into A. FNS has met minimal competition here at the staging point.
Player 1, the only man here for version 1 right now, and we'd already seen a masterfully done retake by them onto this site, and it seems like they'll be going for it again. Victor with a better plant position now, though, just to be able to keep that in open space and not hide it behind L. So, we have an opportunity to defend this from multiple different angles as opposed to just staying deep onto the site. FNS only making his way back over towards ramp, supporting Mame at the top of this as he's waiting to see what version 1 are going to do with this space. Takes down 1, but it's the trade. Zelsus with the flank takes down 2, and oh no, it's happening again. Caboose locked inside of hell. Diffuse coming through. Player 1 hops off, gets the frag, and jumps right back to business. Locks that spike up, gives the ult point on over to Penny, and that's a 9-2 scoreline on the defensive half for version 1.
Relatively late push in there from V1 as well. Was starting to get a little worried about their capability to make impact and, more importantly, retake the site in time. But saw that big play coming in from mainly Zelsus on the flank, working his way in from the attacker spawn side. Here you go, you can see it right here. A nice double from him on top of the single pickups from both Effies and Player 1 inside of the site. Allowed them to work their way in. Obviously, a couple problems managing Caboose right there, as he's been causing them some strife for the past couple of rounds. But once he's dealt with the Diffuse, no problem whatsoever. And a 9th round now on the board for V1. A very one-sided map so far for them, which is surprising considering what we just had transpire on Haven here.
Yeah, I mean, Split, not the easiest when it comes to offense, but obviously with the changes that have happened to the map, it's gotten to be easier. But still, this scoreline, even for a map that would be defensive-sided, that's scary. That is so very scary. 9-2 is not something that you want to be in, especially on your own map. FNS now taking contact inside of Heaven. That's an opportunity here on player one, but I don't believe he even knows that Effie's exists. Up on top of the box now. An opportunity here for the Omen, and actually Vanity able to win it out. Has the paranoia as well, and he'll follow up with that, but nobody home. Instead, Envy switching gears, trying to take control of tower through Mail.
Solid pressure from Envy to maybe make up the difference on the inside of this round. Zelsis still in the depths of the B site, but he's only able to translate one frag. Crashies be the one to trade it back out. Plant going down at any moment here. Version 1 still have the edge, and it's going to get pushed even further here because Vanity finds that free pick on a Caboose from the shadows, but he doesn't even really need to use it. V1 shut down the remaining players in a series of detached engagements, pushing them up onto double digits just as we switch halves.
Oh, and Envy, you have a long road ahead of you. That half was just not good. There's really no redeemable things there for Envy. Granted, they were able to get 2 rounds, but those 2 aspects are really the only redeemable qualities of that entire thing. Everything else were version 1 simply either hitting some extremely hard retakes or just dicing up Envy as soon as they get on entry, just like so from Vanity on the boxes here.
Really great, especially on retake play from version 1. Such a solid record, even when under relative pressure and operating on limited intelligence, able to work their way back in through a series of flank maneuvers as well as just direct engagements in order to pick up the wins here. Pick up so many engagements against the Envy roster, and this is in stark contrast to what we had transpire in the previous map. So V1 looking to really push the envelope, send us on to a third and final map. We're on Ascent for this series here. Mame taking the initial contact on the top side of the B tower, but is quickly going to get finished off by Zelsis before that barrier orb wall gets itself placed down, preventing any further attempts to cause problems while the rest of them clear out the site.
No struggle, but not going to be exactly the execute just yet, as it's a fake back towards mid, but then it's the retake as player 1 takes down the Envy player inside of Market. Vanity making the situation all the worse for Envy as the frenzy goes huge for a double. FNS, you're the last man alive, my friend. What can you possibly do here? Frenzy in hand, but can't even get the second frag. Too much damage from the right click from player 1, and Zelsis cleans up shop. 11-1 right now for version 1.
That's that big issue for Envy when you see Vanity able to make the play he made. It's those unexpected positions that are constantly getting the better of Envy inside of this map. You could say the same for the retakes that were happening in the previous half about why they were so successful. Unfortunately, just a lot of heads-up plays that the members of Envy weren't expecting to deal with. And as a result of that, V1 win a lot of very important gunfights that put them ahead in the round, and they never really seem to make the same mistakes that Envy has been making, where they overcommit themselves to an engagement or overplay something. So it's leading to a very clean performance, obviously on the defensive side, and now we're going to see the continuation of that in the second half here. FNS ready for the challenge, it seems, though. Stinger picking up at least one before going down. Victor as well, still potentially trying to cause problems from the inside of Elbow here. He's going to swing out. There's the flash assist, but it's not going to matter. The guiding light not making the impact. Player 1 still getting the kill here. And now with the remaining players on the Envy roster going down, it's left it all up to Caboose in a 1v3. Screens control, gets himself the Guardian at least, but no shots connecting. It's all V1 all day as they net themselves their 12th. Only one more away from pushing us to that map 3.
I'm sure that's exactly what he said too. No shot. No shot. Because that's not what happened for Caboose at all. I mean, this scoreboard right now just looks abysmal for Envy, and I hate saying that, but at a 12-2 scoreline, nobody even breaking double digits inside of frags yet. Version 1 has 4 people with double-digit frags. That right there just tells you the difference between these two right now. Envy cannot find a single foothold on their own map, as it seems they're just falling apart at the seams. It's very problematic for the moment, and the thing is that coming into this round right here, this could be the penultimate round for version 1 on Split, taking it away from Envy, forcing this last map when honestly I didn't think that we would even reach this point. FNS gets onto site, he's able to take some semblance of control, but it's more Mummy than anything. Able to take down quite a few players, finally ripping player 1, but no, it's actually Victor from up top as the bullets just simply couldn't connect.
Version 1 really throwing themselves at Envy on the inside of this round, and unfortunately, I don't believe Version 1 expected there to be a two-man setup behind that box next to Hell, and as a result of that, we just see a massive number of frags coming in from, I believe it was Mame there over the course of that round. Might have been another player too in the mix in the actual site, but that player is really catching them off guard, picking up the multi-frags, and then the rest of the rotates just closing out. Bit of a sloppy one, to be completely honest, there from V1, but they're up by 9 rounds still, so no overall worry for them just as of yet. It is going to take them into a bit of a weird buy, though, for this next round, as they'll have largely full rifles, but Vanity's going to be a little bit too low for that, so he's got the Bucky instead.
They can basically like lose their economy 2 to 3 more times, right? Depending on the situation, and still have an opportunity to win this game. I mean, that's just how far ahead they are right now. It's truly insane. Guiding Light out now to assist Victor side of mid, but doesn't find too much. Nothing truly popping off just yet. Out of the first couple seconds of this round, mostly just posturing, but that's exactly what we would expect. Trying to figure out exactly what Envy are doing on this defensive side. Player 1 to strike first as he takes down FNS at the top of ramp.
Good start from player 1 here. You can tell V1 taking this one a little bit more cautiously this time due to the mistakes that were made due to a haphazard execute on the previous round. Definitely don't want a repeat of that. The problem's being caused already. Victor and Crash, he's pressing in against this execute. That's the spike down at the top of ropes here too. They're going to have to try and retake this position somehow. Victor with the paint shells. That could potentially be so much damage, but the good news is V1 are quick on the trigger. They quickly rotate back up and avoid the large majority of that. Oh no, Penny goes right up, tries to dodge it, but it's not going to work out. 2 more kills going by the way of V1 here. Crashy's the last to fall as well. And Envy seemed to have control of it, got back control of the spike, but ultimately V1 battled back into that very tight frag space anyway, and are able to close out the round, solidifying things themselves in very, very convincing fashion. The reverse sweep, or at least start the reverse sweep for themselves as we get ready to head on to map number 3 now.
I mean, you can call at least that map a sweep right there, because that's not even their map choice, Blue, in a 13-3 scoreline. I mean, come on. That is just dominance when it comes down to version 1, and they've made it. They've made it all the way through this best of 3. After that first map, I didn't think we were going to get to see the version 1 that we had been watching throughout this tournament so far, but they finally came to the light. We get to see Penny in action, and oh, does it feel so good.
Yeah, Penny really coming alive that series. I mean, that was the point we talked about in pregame, was needing to see him step up. Obviously, their other teammates still bringing a good performance to the table, but he was kind of missing in the first map. Not so much the case here, though. A really good step up from him, and definitely made the difference to allow them to take map number 2 to take us to Ascent. Ascent, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be coming up in just a few minutes. Stick with us once again, and we'll be right back with a continuation of this series just after this.
Verizon believes everyone deserves the best. That's why we start with 5G from America's most reliable network.
Verizon 5G is next level.
Then give families plans to mix and match, so you only pay for what you need starting at $35.
You get so much more than this, a great network.
And offer the best in entertainment on select unlimited plans, like Disney+, Hulu, and ESPN+, as well as Discovery+, with a Galaxy S21 Plus 5G when you buy one. There's no reason to settle for less than the best. Only from Verizon.
I feel like I need to defend my scene's honor here, because this is just turning into a bit of a dogpile.
Like in groups always look.
I'm cutting you off here. I'm cutting you off. Cutting you off. He said G2's winning it. He said G2's winning it.
We need to wait till the next EU tournament, which could be in about 10 years now.
Take it with like a grain of salt.
No,
but
that's
that
no
being
fun.
said,
Take it super literally.
Spike defused.